Yo, welcome everybody to Bridge the Gap Conversation. This is the voice of Culture, man. This is Taekwon, MZK, Ready to Rock. I got no other than my brother from another mother. You know what I'm saying? Poe One, the OG 13. You know, as most everybody know that he went through some tribulation with the whole COVID-19 ordeal, and he's here to share with us, you know, that whole experience, you know. So shouts to everybody that's tuning in or will be tuning in, because we're going to share this, you know, because I know, like, in Tokyo or Europe, they're in bedtime right now.
Yeah.
Yo, Crumbs, what up? So yeah, let's start out with the whole situation, bro. Man, you know what? Before that, let me do something real fast for you, man, because I feel like you've been in a struggle, and I want everybody right now that's watching this, give Poe a big clap, a round of applause, y'all, for real. Whatever you at, you know what I'm saying? Give Poe a big round of applause, y'all. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Word up. That's right, Poe. That's right, baby. You know what I'm saying? Good job, baby. Word. And you know me.
You may laugh. I haven't laughed.
I gotta keep it going. Hey, I gotta keep it going, Poe. I gotta keep it going, Poe. Yo. Hey, I gotta show you much love, bro. You know? So let's get into it, man.
I haven't laughed in a long time, so I needed that.
Hey, that's what it's about, man.
Yeah,
we're here to share. So yo, let's start it off. So what really went down with the whole situation? Like, were you somewhere before this? So let's take us back to, you know, day one.
Well, I left to Europe on the 3rd of March for a Winter Blast Festival out in Prague. There was 2 jams that I had to do. Was Prague, Winter Blast Festival, my brother MG, and then Circle Industry in Austria with my brother Cosmic and the homies there out in Salzburg, Austria. The Salzburg, Austria event was canceled. The government canceled all events of 100 and up, 100 and people up, because they took the precautions, you know. But in Prague, the government, they didn't have a lot of cases or anything, so they didn't cancel any events or anything. So it was a goal to still go to the event. So I made my commitment to MG to go. I didn't want him to lose money with the plane tickets and stuff. Even though I was worried traveling, I told myself, well, God's with me. I'll take all the precautions and everything that I got to do, but I'll still comply with my word to go to the jam. So I went to the jam. You know, I left on the 3rd of March. I landed on the 4th of March, or I left the 4th of March and landed on the 5th of March, either one. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, everything's fine. I did my workshop on the 6th, had fun with Freeze, you know, enjoyed Prague for the few days before the event started. The event started on the 8th and 9th of March. Everything was fine. All was fine. I just had a cold sore from partying too much and shit. I never felt any symptoms. I got like a little bit of fever on the 11th of March. But it was, you know, it's winter there and you're jet lagged, and the cold sore came out and the fever went away. It was just really low. I just had some juice and some soup, and that was it. So nothing to worry about. Never felt sore throats or anything like that. But this was after the event, you know what I'm saying? Then on March 12th, I took a bus at 5:30, 6:30 in the morning and went to Austria, because I still had to take my flight back to Australia from Austria. So to make a long story short, took the bus. There was a lot of people from Spain there, a lot of people from Italy and everything. Got to Austria about 5, 6 p.m. Cosmic picked me up. We went and got something to eat. It was all fine. I felt a little tired, so I went to the hotel, went to sleep. Next day, March 13th, all the borders were being closed in Europe, and my flight wasn't leaving until the 16th of March. So I had to figure out how to get out of Austria because the border in Germany was being closed, and my flight was leaving out of Munich, Germany, which was on the 15th. Which was on the only 45-minute drive from Salzburg. So I had to hustle. They wouldn't return the flight money to Cosmic out of Germany. They wanted to give him a credit. So we had to figure out he didn't have the money to buy the flight back to Australia out of Austria because his event was canceled. So I just forked out my money and bought the flight. It was $1,330 one way to get to Australia. So that was the 13th I bought it. I left the 14th, so I took a train from Salzburg to Vienna, Austria. So the doctors are estimating that I probably got contracted and infected during that period. It could have been the last days of Prague. Because the doctors say here in Australia, they say that people start feeling symptoms. Most patients start feeling symptoms 5 days after infection. So we're estimating the time frame of maybe the day I was leaving from Prague, or a few days before, or during my time flying back to Australia, because it was 27 hours to get back to Australia. So there's about 4 days or 5 days in between that cuff.
Right.
I left Austria on the 14th of March and landed in Australia on the 15th of March at 9:30 p.m. at night. The TV screens on the TV of the plane said, if you're coming from Europe, you should quarantine yourself, even if you don't show any symptoms. I was feeling fine. So I just took the responsibility. I said, okay, well, I'm just going to quarantine myself for 14 days. So I called my loved ones and I said, look, I'm going to quarantine myself for 14 days, even though I'm not sick, just to be safe, because at home people have asthma and people have that stuff. I don't. I'm perfectly healthy. I live a healthy life. I don't have asthma, no prior sicknesses or anything like that. So this goes to show you that it could hit anybody, really hard, So be careful out there, you guys. But so I quarantined myself. At 9:30, I landed. I got out of immigration about 10:30. Got into the taxi and went straight to a city business apartment that had a kitchen and stuff. It's called an I-Stay apartment. They're really really cheap and to stay in. They still cost money here in Australia, but they're cheap to stay in. But you have kitchen and everything, because I was expecting to be in there for 14 days. Good thing I checked in, man. It was the best choice I made, because the next day at 6:45 in the morning, just a few hours after I landed and after I checked into the Airbnb and after I showered and went to bed, I woke up drenched in sweat with a fever of about 102, 103, which in Australian is about 40.9 or 40.8. And shivers and bone aches, and I was like, what the hell's happening? So that was about 6:45 in the morning, so I jumped in the shower and put the cold water on to get the fever down, because I had no pills yet or anything, in the apartment stay where I was staying. And I called my GP, my general practitioner, my doctor, right away, and I said, yo, I just came from Europe and I'm showing these symptoms. What should I do? First thing my doctor said is, are you in quarantine or are you home? And I said, no, I'm in quarantine at an apartment, because the airplane last night said to be in quarantine. So he said, good, don't go anywhere, don't be anywhere. And I said, yo, I don't plan to. And he said, if the symptoms persist in the morning when you wake up the next day, go straight to the emergency room, to the COVID section of the hospital. All day I was fighting the fevers. I was nauseated. I had bone aches, headaches. My vision was getting blurry because of the high fevers. I couldn't get them down. Good thing is, you order groceries, like express groceries, and they bring them to you to wherever you're staying for COVID people. Even though it was still new in Australia, they still bring them to you. So I went online and ordered, and it was delivered to the reception. And I told the reception people of the apartment complex, don't open my room. The cleaners don't come in. I said, I'm quarantined and I might have the virus. And I said, I don't know what I have. I have to be tested. And so what happened is they left the grocery store. I had teas and stuff, so I started cutting gingers up and lemon and all that and trying to heal myself because I like to try to heal myself naturally just in case if it was a basic flu. And I got honey and everything and just lemons and just started filling myself up with liquids, with hot liquids. I went online and started looking at if just in case if it was COVID, what are the patients doing in other places? So everyone kept saying, don't drink nothing. Do you hear that drilling? Or are you okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Hear me? Okay. Everybody online kept saying, don't drink nothing cold. Don't drink anything because the virus expands with cold stuff. It likes it in your lungs because it attacks your lungs right away. So I was taking the precautions just in case. I still haven't been tested yet. That was all Monday morning and all day Monday.
And can I stop you there? So let's talk about the symptom. You said nausea, headaches.
Yeah. I started getting that first day. I got a fever of almost 102, 103, I guess. Okay. It was about 40.5, 40.9 in Australian. You know, it went all the way up to 41.9, which is 105 later on when I was in the hospital. But my symptoms were nausea, dizziness, loss of balance. When I would try to go to the bathroom, I didn't have the strength to get to the bathroom. And that was just the first day. You know, I never felt sore throat or what other people said they felt before they got it. I never felt that. I never felt those symptoms when I was in Prague. I just felt wore down, and I got a cold sore from, winter. You get chapped lips and shit like that. And so that day I just stayed trying to heal myself in bed. Then the next morning my fever was high. I mean, like 41.3. And I went straight to the hospital, man, and to the COVID session. And I went at 9:30 in the morning. I got there. And thank God that where my iStay apartment was, it was actually only an 8-minute walk to the emergency room of the city hospital. It's only like an 11-minute walk to my house where I live, because I live in the heart of the city. From where I was staying, and only an 8-minute walk the other direction to the hospital. So I put on my mask and I went straight to the hospital. And there was already a line. There was about 50 people ahead of me in line waiting to register. And I was the last person there. And then another 100 formed behind me. It was crazy. A lot of people were getting tested. A lot of people were getting tested. So I waited from 9:30 to about 12:30, and I got really dizzy because it was sunny here, because here is still the end of summer. So the day was probably a 30 temperature day, which is about 80, 85, I guess, American, in Fahrenheit. So I got dizzy, and then I started throwing up. And so the nurses were in full gear outside registering people with masks and gloves, and they just dragged me in, and they gave me water. And then I couldn't really hold myself up anymore after vomiting, so they sat me in a chair, and then they rushed me in the emergency room, and then they took my temperature, and it was 41.5 or 41.6, which is almost 105, like dead, like very bad, very bad. So right away they gave me paracetamol. It's called paracetamol to lower my temperature, and then had me lay down. But I couldn't lay down because it would feel funny on my chest to lay down, so I would sit up. You know what I mean? And then they did the swab. They took the test. I waited laying down for about another 2.5 hours. I got out of the hospital probably 3:30 after my fever went down. They sent me on my way by myself. Like, they said, okay, you took the test. Your results will come back on Friday. They said, how are you feeling? I said, well, my fever's down and I'm feeling a little bit like more stronger. So do you think you could get home? They said. And I said, yeah, I could get home. It's only an 8-minute walk. So I walked back, but
Can I stop you there though? Before you walk back? The testing, what did they do to you? Like,
okay, they stick
that process?
Yeah, they stick a swab about this long, a Q-tip, You know, the same swab that they stick in your pee hole when you do sexual transmitted diseases tests at the hospital, they stick a swab like that, like this long, and they stick it in your throat, really down your throat, and then the same swab, they stick it in your nose, but they stick it all the way up, like past your sinuses. It hurts, man. It hurts, but thank God I did it because, you know, so that's the thing they do to you. They stick the swab and everything through your throat and then through your nostrils, because I guess the virus attacks first in here, then it goes to your throat, then it goes into your lungs. I never felt symptoms there. You know, I was already starting to cough on the second day, that Tuesday. And so I walked back and I just crawled into bed, man. I was just like, you know. And my results were supposed to come back Friday, but so that was Tuesday. I started feeling fever on Monday. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then Thursday, I received a call at 8 a.m. and from the hospital. And they said, is this Eddie, you know, blah, 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 my name. And then I said, yeah. And then they said, you came out positive to COVID-19. And how are you feeling? And I was a wreck. It was 4 days already fighting by myself, not hardly eating, because your body rejects. You lose taste and you lose smell. So you're not hungry. But I knew I had to eat to keep myself healthy. So it was mainly fruits, like cutting oranges and squeezing it into cups. And you know, even with no strength, I was really trying to fill myself up with liquids. So Thursday, the 19th of March here in Australia, because we're a day ahead of everybody. So it would have been the 18th for you guys, still Thursday, you know, or 17th Thursday for you guys. So they called me around 8 in the morning and they asked me how I was doing. I said I was really in bad shape. So they said, okay, we're going to send an ambulance to pick you up. They sent an ambulance about 6:30 p.m. They finally came. So it was good because I was washing my clothes in the washer and dryer of the apartment and making sure everything was clean, because I didn't want to make sure anybody would get infected on my watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want blood on my hands, man. I had enough of that shit when I was a kid, you know? So I wiped down my luggage, fighting through the fridge. Like, you hardly can walk. It's like, it's a trip. But I was making sure everything's ready. And then I just sat laying on the couch, fully dressed, waiting. And then I ended up falling asleep. And at 6:30, my phone rang and they said, look, the ambulance is downstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. So I put my mask on, my gloves, and went downstairs. And then they put me in a stretcher and took me in the ambulance. Then right away, they put me in the first section of the hospital, which is the infectious diseases ward. It's where you're under observation really bad. And they started giving me paracetamol to lower my fevers, because I was in really bad shape. I had diarrhea already now, and I was already vomiting a little bit. I was already coughing a lot, and it started to show that the virus was getting into my lungs, and I started to get hoarse. Like, I'm still a little hoarse.
So pretty much at this point, you were like exhausted. Like,
yeah. 4 days in, I was already done. Like, they had to hold my arms to get me into my bed, you know, into the emergency room and stuff, like where they had the COVID patients at. Then they started giving me right away, it's called, I don't know how to pronounce it well, but it's called hydroxychloroquine. They give you the pill. It's like a malaria pill, but it helps in some way, the virus. But it has a lot of side effects, so they can't give it to you more than 5 days, you know? They give you twice a day, 5 days. What this virus does is, so people know what it does when it hits you hard in critical condition, most people think it's the flu. It is flu-like symptoms, but like 10 times more intense. And this virus is very tricky. For those that are listening, be careful. Some people don't even get symptoms and they're carriers, and they start passing it on. There is what is called droplets. It's when you talk, little saliva comes out without you even knowing, or when you cough. And that floats in the air for about a minute, depending on the weight of the virus and how much comes out. Then it settles on things, and that could be a long time. It could, depending on temperatures and where you are in the world, it can last for 9 hours, it can last for 2 days, it can last or whatever. So what happens is, even though you're not showing symptoms, you might be passing it on to friends, family, or community centers, or the community around you. And some people in that community might not have the same results as you to that virus. It might be deadly for them, as you guys can see on the news. Thousands of people are dying around the world, depending on their respiratory system, depending if they're smokers, depending if they have asthma, depending if they had previous health problems with other things, So this virus is a really tricky, son of a bitch, excuse me for that language, but it can affect people in many different ways. I'm a healthy brother, like I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink, really. It's socially, maybe I have a beer once in a while, but I don't have liquor in my house. Like I'm a vegetarian. I make fresh juices every day. And I'm really live a healthy lifestyle, and it almost killed me. I might get emotional talking about this, but
no doubt, bro.
There was a day, I had everything with me, my luggage, my laptop, and my phone, so I was able to talk to certain people, Like when I first found out that I had it, the first day on the 19th of March, I called a lot of people personally, and I couldn't even hardly talk. My voice was like, I was like that, like it was in my lungs. I contacted my crew on WhatsApp right away, Stalins, because I wanted them to take it serious and to take precautions. I said, yo, I have it. Be careful. I called MG, and right away I told them, yo, I have it. Please give a warning out to the people that were in Prague. Please be careful. Not because it could be possible that I got it from them or they got it from me. It was just precautions that in Prague, not at the event or in the bars or in the street from all the tourists, or if they're taking buses to other countries to hang out with their friends, to be cautious. So I told MG, tell it, please don't say it's me yet, but just tell everybody that somebody that was at the Winter Blast Festival has the virus, has come out positive with the virus, even though I came out positive a week and something after the event, So I called Cross, I called Renegade, I told you, I told a lot, I told hundreds of people, but I told everybody to keep it private because I didn't want it on social media, because my family is on social media. My mother's on social media, my dad's on social media, my sister's on social media. And I didn't mind if my father and my sister found out. I minded more about my mother in Puerto Rico. I didn't want her to read it on social media. If some people wrote online, like, get well soon, you're going to beat this virus. I didn't want that. Because my mother was still talking to me while I was in quarantine. She was still talking to me, and I would type to her. I couldn't talk to her certain days because of my voice. So I would just type to her and say, hey, I'm doing okay, all good, all is well. And then she asked me about the test results. And I said, oh, it came out negative. I didn't want her, when it didn't, I didn't want her to worry. Because in Puerto Rico right now, my stepfather had a stroke about a year ago, so she's her carer, She's caring for him. Puerto Rico's been hit by hurricanes, so there was no electricity and water sometimes. They've been getting hit hard by earthquakes. So my mother goes and helps people that are living in tents in the parks right now because they lost their homes due to the earthquakes that are still happening to this day. So she's been dealing with a lot, and she's doing all the groceries during the quarantine and everything. So I didn't want to add another worry to her that her son is almost, could be dying, because the media also only shows how many are infected, how many deaths are happening, but they never say how many people are healing, So I didn't want to tell her I'm fighting the virus, and I was in really bad shape, and I didn't want her to see me like that. So, but I knew in my heart, I said, look, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But I knew if it was going to get to the part that I wasn't going to make it, I had a thing that I wanted her to know just in case if I didn't make it, which my partner would say, and my loved ones would say. And it did get to that point, it did get to that point. There was, this is the part that I said I might get emotional, but there was 2 days. One day I was at peace with it. But the first day, people can't picture what this feels like if you haven't experienced it with a loved one or somebody, some sort of death in your family, and you were present. When you have this virus, you're put into intensive care, and when you're in critical condition, nobody can visit you. Nobody can hold your hand. Nobody is there with you. So I could only imagine fathers and mothers that have kids right now, or their mothers or fathers, grandfathers in hospitals, because they can't be with them. They can't hold their hand. The doctors will not let you. You are alone. And if they have no access to a phone and FaceTime, like technology, I was lucky that I had my laptop and my phone because I could FaceTime people, and I was able to look at my partner face to face. And one day the doctor said to me, I think you should call home and say what you need to say to them. Even though the doctor didn't say I was dying, because they're not supposed to say that. This doctor, I befriended a doctor, really cool. We were really cool. His name is Paul, and I thank him for being real with me through my whole fight. And he told me, I think you should call your loved ones, And I was like, I knew exactly what he was trying to say. And I felt it in my body. That day, I couldn't get out of bed. That day, this is embarrassing to say, but it's the reality of the virus. I shit on myself. I pissed on myself. All my functions were changing, So that's when the first time from the first day, from the moment I got the virus to that day is when I realized, I said, oh shit, I'm feeling like I'm dying, and that was a crazy moment. So, you get online, you call your partner or your loved ones, and you say, what you got to say. And that was hard. That I've never had to do that, And so that was a real shit. And but my partner didn't accept it. My partner was like, no, you're going to fight this shit. You're going to be okay. And I was like, yeah, I'll fight. But I couldn't talk. I was like, and trying to talk, but I was still being understood. So I ended up falling asleep, and as we were talking on FaceTime. And then I ended up waking up about 3 hours because the nurses came in to check my vital signs and all that shit. And then my heart rate changed and it got too low. And that day, so I was rushed to the ICU in critical, the ICU unit. And then I was put all these wires. Thank God that I'm not a smoker or an asthmatic. And even though the virus was in my lungs, because they saw the virus was at the bottom of my lungs and my lungs were swelling, I never needed a respiratory machine. I never needed an incubator. I was able to breathe by myself at all times, even when it was hard, But in ICU, when I was rushed to ICU, is because my blood pressure lowered and my heart rate lowered to a point that I can go into cardiac arrest. So I was in ICU. I'll send a picture to you and you can post that with the link on YouTube. It's an intense picture when I was in ICU. I had all these things tests and I had a mask on, but I didn't need a respirator, thank God, And so I was in ICU for 3 days, and then everything stabilized. I was taken off hydroxychloroquine. I was taken off that after the 5th day, and some of the side effects of hydroxychloroquine is it lowers your heart rate. So they wanted to monitor that to make sure that I wouldn't go into cardiac arrest, and after 3 days of being in there, they put me back up into the infectious disease ward where I could be monitored because I was still critical, but I wasn't like critical. There was only 3 of us in the ICU at the time. Now there's 16 in the hospital in the ICU, and there was 32 of us in the infectious disease ward fighting the disease and with high fevers and symptoms and really bad shape, but not put into the ICU yet. Now there's, like I said, I think 16 there. There was 32 in the infectious ward when I was there. Mm-hmm. Now I think there's 60 in Adelaide alone, just in my city. Even though the world has way more, it's still new here, and in Australia. And we've had our first 2 deaths in the last couple of days. And I might get emotional again because when I was in ICU, you're in private rooms, and also in the infectious ward, you're in private rooms. I don't know now if everybody is in private rooms or now people are sharing private rooms. But when I was there, I was in a private room. There was 16 in each ward, 16 rooms. And now that there's more people, I don't know if there's enough rooms now. So I don't know how it is now, if they doubling it up with 2 people or what. But in the ICU, everything is glass around the doors and everything. When the curtains are closed, you can't see your next door neighbors. But when the curtains are open or the blinds get rolled open, the old screen things, you can see your neighbor. And both sides, there was a 75-year-old guy next to me and I think a 77-year-old guy on the other side of me, and I was in the middle. And about 4 days ago, I got the news that the guy that was next to me, 75 years old, passed away. And it hurts because when you know the fight and you see the people fighting in the hospital for their lives, you see the struggle they went through, you can relate 100% because you see it and you're fighting it yourself. And I'm not going to say I'm a lucky one because it wasn't luck, and that's disrespectful to those that passed away in my eyes. I would just say the virus responded differently in my body than others, and my lifestyle helped me, and the prayers that I got from all around the world during my fight for those that knew in private, which I thank you from the bottom of my heart, that helped me pull through, because energy like that, if you believe in religion or you don't, or if you're a Buddhist or you're a spiritualist or you believe in energies, all that energy is godly and that helps you. You understand what I'm saying? So when you
during that moment, were you at peace on a spiritual sense? That kept you at peace?
The second day when I said what I had to say, the first day when I thought I was going to go, the first time I thought I was going to go, because I never felt like I was going to go. I kept telling myself, you're going to fight this no matter how bad I felt. But when the doctor told me, I think you should make a call and just be accompanied with somebody, I could feel my body draining, and I was just like, yo, something's happening here. And I was losing body functions. It was difficult to breathe, but I still didn't need an incubator or a respirator. But everything else, my intestines started just going by themselves. You're shitting on yourself, and you just can't control it. Like and pissing and spit's coming out your mouth, like you're losing body functions. And so that is when I thought I was going to go. And that day I was trying to fight, and I fell asleep during the fight. The next day, I was so exhausted of fighting. I felt this, I don't know, this strange warmth in my body. Even though my fever was high and everything, I felt this warmth in my body. And I just felt that it was going to be okay, whatever's going to happen. And I had my loved one on the phone. I had my partner on the phone, and I had my eyes closed because the light was bothering my eyes, of the room, and the sun was in the window. Because luckily I had a room that I can see outside, and the sun would hit, and the sunset would actually go down there, and that was good to see each night. So I had this sense of peace, very godly. And I kind of just peeked through my eyes, and I looked on the FaceTime screen, and I just said, I'm okay with whatever's going to happen. And I smiled, and that was hard for my partner to see, because that was like me saying, like, it's okay, And my partner was like, hell no. You're fighting this shit. Fuck you. Yeah. But thank God the next day, all of a sudden, things changed, started changing. My fever went down from 40 to like 39. Then it went down, which in Australian terms, okay? Then the next day it was down in between 38.5 to 39. And, things started changing, and that was towards the end of the fight, because I was in the hospital for I was fighting the virus by myself when I didn't know I had it, before I was taken to the hospital 4 days, and then I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and maybe 1 day, so that's a total of maybe 3 weeks, And I'm still recovering. I'm still fighting it, but by myself in Airbnb. I still haven't gone home. I'm still taking the precautions and stuff. So I was fighting it for a long time. So this was towards the end of the fight that my body started not feeling the symptoms that it was. My chest is still wrecked from the fight that I had, and the virus is still, it created scar tissue in my lungs from all the coughing and stuff. They're tiny little, I talk Spanish, sorry. They're tiny little tears that you get from coughing, and you have capillaries that pop in your lungs. Like I was bleeding in my lungs. When I was coughing, blood would come out, and I would spit out blood. It didn't turn into the ammonia, but it was beginning stages of it. Thank God I didn't get the full development. So what happens is those small tears start hardening, and scars, they become scars. And that scar makes, and when you have hundreds of them, it makes the lung hard to expand, because it's has scars. And it's kind of like when you have knee surgery or something, you have to break the tissue to get full range of motion. So you get that in your lungs, you develop scar tissue. So right now I have to do all kind of scuba diving exercises out, like training to learn to hold my breath and to expand my lungs, which will soften the scars and wear away the scars that are inside the lungs. So it's not going to be until a few months. They don't really know how long, depending on me. Well, Paul, he's a real cool doctor. We talk all the time. I called him yesterday. Even though I've been out of the hospital since I was released from the hospital April 1st, and today is April 16th morning here in Australia, because we're a day ahead of everybody. So I've been out 16 days, but I still had to stay in quarantine for 10 days after being released of the hospitals. So I was finally cleared from the hospital, from the doctors, from the nurses coming here and taking my blood and all that, because they would come here and check on you. The cops would even come, man. The cops came on the 9th of April to check if I was quarantining myself, because some dumbasses out there, when they get out of the hospital, they're going out into the public And and if they're carrying droplets in their body, and if the virus is still active, they can be infecting the public. Because here in Australia and other places in the world, people are not taking it serious. They need to take it serious, And so the cops, for people not taking it serious, the cops are coming to people's houses that are registered under the hospital COVID-19 that are positive towards it, and they're visiting houses, doing home visits. The ones that are in wherever they're quarantining themselves, they'll come. They came to my place on the last day, and I was here. They knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and they had masks on and everything. They said, "Oh, we're just checking to see if you're here." And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And they said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm okay. No symptoms have returned except for my chest, and my immune system's still low, and the weakness of my muscles." If you look at my neck, I lost a lot of weight. My body's lost a lot of weight. Like, I was between 180 and 185 pounds in an American weight. In between there, my normal weight was 182, 183. Like, I would fluctuate. When I got out of the hospital, I was in between 165 pounds and 170 pounds. I lost a lot of weight, inside the hospital. And I was fluctuating in between that weight. Now I'm 174 pounds when I weighed myself this morning. So I'm gaining weight again, getting back up to my weight, because I'm back on my regimen of I'm able to eat all 3 meals a day. I'm eating 4, but very healthy and small meals. I was able to do this morning 15 push-ups. I used to do 200 push-ups, man. 5 sets of 20 in the morning and 5 sets of 20 at night before I go to sleep. That was 200 each day, just to stay fit, on my own when I wasn't dancing. I danced every day and stuff, but this was something that I just did. And now I could only do 15, and I get dizzy, and my air's not getting to my head right because my lungs ain't expanding all the way. So with time, I'll heal. But thank God I haven't had any body chills, any high fevers. Everything's been normal. Nausea, headaches. I still get a little dizzy. Like, I tried the top rock yesterday for 30 seconds. And by the 15th second, I lost my balance, and I had to sit down and catch my breath. It feels like I have asthma, but I don't have asthma. It's just the lungs not expanding, like not getting in there. So I have to slow my heart rate down to get the breath in, and I have to breathe slowly. The damage that the virus did is still there, but the recuperation is there. I've only been out 16 days. So, 16 for those that don't understand English. And so I'm getting there, and I'm very grateful that I'm getting there. I'm very strong, So that's been the experience, brother. That's been the experience so far,
How were the nurses and the doctors?
Oh, man.
Tell us, tell us about them.
All the frontliners, the frontliners out there, the doctors, people risking their lives. Thank you, you guys. Like, from the bottom of our hearts, people have no idea that these frontliners, these nurses, they're fighting for, to help you live. But when they get home, they can't touch their kids. They can't touch their partner. Like, the wives can't touch their husbands. The husbands can't touch their wives. They can't touch their kids. When they get home, they have to quarantine themselves. So they're suffering just like we are, just to save people they don't even know, because they made that promise to do it. Like, people don't know that these people haven't touched their kids, hugged them, or their partners for over 2 months and a half that this virus has been out, into the public. Almost three. Like, people don't understand that. Anybody that has been in contact with somebody that has COVID, even if that person that has been in contact with you is not infected and comes out negative, they still have to quarantine themselves. So, and not be around anybody because they were at risk. And they're still finding out so much about this virus, you know? So I salute, I took my hat. If I had a hat on, I tilted to these brothers out there, man, like, and sisters out there, because they are putting their lives at risk for us. Like, these doctors, it was still new for them in the hospital. So they were just getting information from Italy, from Canada, from Spain, like the places that were hit the hardest, China. They were getting information each day. Like the doctor said, information was changing daily for them. And their experts, research team of here from Australia, you know, so daily they're getting new protocol. And I would ask questions, man, like I would ask hundreds of questions, like hundreds of them, you know, each day when I was strong, you know, getting strong. I was like, okay, what about this? Or will my body create antibodies or this or that? You know, like I was asking questions like how many are here in the hospital? How many are in ICU? Like how many have passed away? How many are fighting? They wouldn't tell me how many passed away because they don't want to make you lose hope. You know what I mean? But they would tell me how many were in there fighting with you. And that kind of gives you hope because you don't feel alone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not happy that they have it, but when somebody's going through something similar that you're going through, right, you feel some sort of support and some sort of like, okay, I'm not alone. Somebody's feeling what I'm feeling, you know?
Like you in a battle together.
Yeah, we're on the front line together, you know what I mean? Right. So we know how that feels like, you know, together because we experienced it, you know, we're experiencing it. So I salute those doctors, man, and those nurses and those cops that are picking people up from the street that have passed out because they can't catch their breath, and those, you know, and the ambulances and stuff like that. It was in the way they handled me in the hospital here in Adelaide. The doctors and nurses were not overwhelmed yet with patients because it was still new. So they weren't under the pressure yet. So they were really handling me with the utmost respect. And I'm very easy to deal with. Like, I wasn't like, there was other people like being a bit like throwing things and stuff like that because they're in desperation. They miss their families. They miss their loved ones. They're sick. You know, they're kind of being, you know, agitated. Agitated. So me, I'm very easy. So they were very cool with me and they were very happy. I was very easy. I wasn't demanding. They knew I was vegetarian, so they'd bring me my vegetarian meals, but I couldn't eat the solid food because your body rejects it. So I would eat the little cup of soup that they give you of lentil.
Is it 3 times a day or?
It's 3 times a day. They bring you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I couldn't hold anything down. You know, I had diarrhea. And I would take a nibble of the solid food, and I would already feel like I was going to throw up and stuff. So I would just drink the cup of soup. So I would ask them, "Can you just bring me? Don't bring me the solid stuff, so it wouldn't go to waste. You know, so it could be given to somebody else that had better symptoms." I said, "Just bring me a big bowl of the soup." Every time I drank the soup, since it was hot, it felt like it was hugging my body inside, you know, like it was such a satisfying feeling. And I asked for a lot of teas. Like I kept asking for teas, you know, and I'd put lemons. I would ask them, "Oh, can you give me a solid lemon?" And I'll just keep it in my room and I'll just squeeze it in there, you know. And so they were really cool, man. The doctors were really cool, man. They were like, you know, the food they were giving me, because somebody's asking a question, what did I eat? I asked for a lot of fruits, so they would give me apples, bananas, a lot of teas, a lot of warm water. Like they would bring me water with ice in it, but I told them, "Yo, this virus loves coldness, and if this gives me an pneumonia, I can't drink anything cold." I said, "Give me warm water or room temperature water, nothing with ice in it." So they would bring me that. Like I was really in tune because I was reading online. Also, I would sign online to check what other countries were doing. And since I'm vegetarian, they were bringing me like spinach, steamed carrots, steamed vegetables, broccoli, and rice, and tofu, stir fried. They brought me that one night, but I just couldn't eat it. My body wasn't holding it. It was the last days being in the hospital, like 4 days before they released me, when they were sure that all my symptoms were stable. Because what happened is this virus attacks your immune system and it attacks your white blood cells, So my white cells went really low to dangerous, so I couldn't fight off the virus. Your kidney function starts changing. Your heart rate starts changing. So they're doing blood tests almost every other day. Like, they take a lot of blood out of you. Like, I even told the doctor, is this safe? Because you're taking a lot of blood out of me. Like, I need my blood to heal, Like, right. Me being a naturist, I'm like, yo, right. Dog, you take too much blood, you're going to make me anemic, Like, come on, man. Like, I was like, the hood guy that I am, but the rational guy that I am. Thank God I never lost rationale. Like, no matter how high my fever was, I never talked nonsense to the doctors. I was fully aware of everything that was happening, even on my worst days. I can't speak for other patients. I can only speak from my experience, So the doctors were really happy about that because I never lost my awareness of what was happening, So yeah, brother. So they were taking out a lot of things. But one thing I do want to tell everybody is, when this virus attacks your respiratory system and your immune system directly, it lowers it to the point that your immune system can't fight any other flus or bacteria that can get into your body. And to have a double infection or triple infection because it can't fight off other viruses, not viruses, bacteria, because bacteria and viruses are different. Mm-hmm. When it can't fight the bacteria off, it's very dangerous because you're weak to a lot of other things. So after they took me off the hydroxychloroquine, after they took me off that, after the 5th day, they started giving me bags of antibiotics. I don't know the names of them. One was Tesma or Tesna, something like that, and another bag of something else. One bag was half an hour long, and another bag was 2 hours. They would put it into you through an IV. So I have like all these marks on my vein, because the veins start closing after a week. So they have to keep switching the veins to put it in. So they keep putting in these bags of stuff, of antibiotics, to fight off other bacteria that might into your body and make the sickness worse. So they were really on point, these people. They're really on point, and they healed me, man. They healed me. God healed me. The prayers of people healed me. Artson, my native brother, he sent me a song of a live drum that he played with a water song from our native brothers. And since we're made of, 70% water or 77% water, I think, I would put the song from WhatsApp onto my chest, and just the native drum and just the chant would put me into this realm of peace, and I can feel it healing my body. Then I had other friends, Justine, David, Mark, Gary Stewart, Matt, Bergen. They are meditators. They believe in meditation, and Justine guided them through a meditation. They recorded it and sent it to me through WhatsApp during my hardest times, and I would put that on my chest and just hear them saying what they were saying through the meditation. That healed me. Vicks, from from MZK and from BVDs, and for us from the family. And Hurry C sent me prayers when I told them that I had it, when I was at my worst, and they prayed for me. I had some friends from India that are Buddhists. They sent me prayers through WhatsApp and through Instagram chat, and I would listen to those as I was resting, because I would have to sit up because you can't lay down because your lungs get clogged a lot, So I would sit up a lot, like half diagonal on the bed, and that's how I would sleep. So I put the phone here by my throat, like here, the esophagus and stuff. And just listen to them over and over again. And that really helped me. And my brothers from Cyprus, Basic Crew, sent me that happy birthday video that maybe you guys saw that I posted during my worst times when nobody knew that I had it publicly yet. And they sent me that birthday shout, and that helped me a lot. I would listen to that, and just the energy in that, the sound of that, of all those chants, all those songs, all those prayers, and me praying, and my faith, and my crew sending me healing messages through WhatsApp. My crews, because a lot of people were sending me messages on WhatsApp. It got a little overwhelming, I'll be honest, because I was really sick. And when you open your WhatsApp and you have something like 100 messages, and you open Messenger and you have 100 messages, it gets a little overwhelming because I didn't have the energy to answer everybody. But I wanted to answer everybody, you know what I mean? And so I would find the strength even though when I couldn't talk. But yo, thank you guys. Like really, right now where I'm staying, check this out, you guys. Look at my view right now.
Bro, let's stop right here. Ooh, that's beautiful.
That's just a quick.
We're gonna end this. Stop. We're gonna end this. Yeah, we're gonna come back. Everybody rejoin because Instagram won't let us go for an hour. But we're gonna come back and we'll continue this, bro.
Up, y'all. We back,
baby. Salute. Yo, salute to everyone, man. For joining in. Listen to Brother Poe sharing his experience with the COVID-19. And a lot of families all over the world is going through it, a lot. Just one stories of the many. And
many.
From both sides, from the doctors, from the nurses' side, to the patient side, and even us, right? Even the ones that being quarantined, everybody playing their part,
Everyone's losing work, no money. They're trying to figure out how they're going to pay their rent. And I'm going to say something. There's a lot of struggle out there, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, in a little bit.
What I want to say, you saw that view that I have?
Yeah. Can you show us again? For those who's joining.
I'm staying in an Airbnb, and I want to thank Naomi and her husband. They knew the struggle I had in the hospital, and they told me, when you're released, I want you to be in a place of peace where you can heal your lungs with fresh air and everything. And it's only 15 minutes away from the city where I live. I live in the city. It's only 15 minutes away from my house. And I've been here for the last 16 days trying to heal and recuperate. Look at this view.
Yo, that's beautiful. You got some bikes? It's called,
yeah, some bikies. Those motherfuckers ain't listening. Oh, excuse me. They ain't listening. You know what I mean? But I will say this, like, they blessed me with this. It's an area called Henley Beach South in Adelaide, South Australia, where I live. And it's only 15 minutes away. I usually come here a lot when I'm on bikes and drive in and just to eat because it has great areas about 2 miles down on both sides. This is a secluded area, but there's bike trails and all that. So when they offered this to me, because I didn't want to go home and I was going to pay an Airbnb, and honestly, I didn't have the money for a lot like that, and for another Airbnb to be so long because you have to be in quarantine 10 more days, and I didn't want to be at home just in case if the virus was still active in me. I didn't want to infect anybody at home, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to isolate myself. And she offered without even me asking, and that was the best gift. I've been here 16 days. I even stayed 6 days more because I was released from quarantine here on the 10th of April. Now it's the 16th of April. So 6 days I've stayed extra just to be sure, right. And at home, my partner has a chest cold, and I could be vulnerable to anybody with flus because my immune system is still low. So I didn't want to risk getting sick of anything, so I stayed here. Yeah, brother. So that's been it's been a crazy realization and fight. Yo, Rush, I see you, brother. See you, man.
There was an article that's talking about reinfection. Can you talk about?
I sent it to you. Yeah, I sent it to you. Yeah. Okay, what's happening is there's a when I've been asking the doctor every day. Even yesterday, I called the doctor just to say thank you. I called the doctors and I sent flowers, and just to call the doctor and say thank you. And I asked the doctor, so do you have news yet if our body creates antibodies for this? Because there's a lot of news in America at the moment, and people think that this virus is like other viruses, that our body creates an antibody like it does against other flus and viruses, And I asked this question when I first got to the hospital. I said, and I asked many times during my time in the hospital, and I've asked many times when the nurses come here, because information changes every day. Mm-hmm. I get the same information that I've gotten from the doctor yesterday that I've gotten in the last 3 weeks and a half that I've been fighting this virus, okay? This information is we don't know yet if the body creates antibodies yet, because there has been cases of people healed of this virus, and a few weeks later, 3 weeks later, get reinfected or reactivation. So they don't know if it's a reinfection or if it's a reactivation of the dead virus that's in your system, because my body might still have it, but it's dead. And my body's trying to get rid of those dead cells. Yeah. And it hasn't yet. It's too soon. So they don't know if these people had a reactivation or a reinfection. So it's possible to get reinfected. It's over 100 people, bro. That's been reinfected and or reactivated, 1 or 2. So all that shit you're seeing online, on the news, saying that doctors talking about, we're taking plasma out of the antibodies of those that have healed and shit. That's all bullshit right now, because the virus is so new that the body hasn't even created antibodies or anything. It does create what I realized, this fucking guy with the blower, outside, they're clearing outside. Sorry.
That was a funny moment.
Yeah.
He was all serious all of a sudden, like. Oh man, it's good though. It's good.
But sorry, no
it's all love. It's like this fucking guy.
But what was I saying? So there's no news out there yet because the virus is so new. It's only been 2 months and a half or 3 months, right, that it's been attacking the world. The virus doesn't develop an antibody yet that the doctors told me, so we can't answer that. But what the doctor told me yesterday was it does recognize if the same virus goes into your system because you already had a fight against it. So it automatically starts sending these signals to the rest of your body to start fighting against the virus. But in recent cases of people with reinfection or reactivation, they have gotten really sick and some have passed away, unfortunately, with the reinfection. So we have to be very, very careful, on point. And the doctor told me yesterday, actually a few days ago, when I talked to him a few days ago, when I was released, they said that there was 2 strains of this virus. So there's not just one. There's A and B. Right. And I don't think the news is talking about that. I don't think the news is saying shit like that. So you guys gotta be careful. I don't know all the information. I'm not a doctor, and things change daily. All this information I'm telling you now could change today because I talked to him yesterday. Mm-hmm. But from what I was told yesterday, and me suffering and being in the hospital and asking questions every day, because my mind really works that way with these people, with detail. You guys have to be very careful, you guys out there. But some people have asked me privately since they found out. They have asked me, well, how can we be careful and stuff like that? You know, if it can be airborne a little bit. There's a rumor that it's too heavy to stay in the air and that it falls quickly. It's been already shown that it can last in the air, depending on winds and stuff, floating for up to 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you know, before it settles on anything. You know, if there's a breeze. If there's no breeze, it lasts about a minute, taking its time to lower. So if you're breathing, you can breathe it in, so you got to be careful. So you should wear a mask. There's a lot of bullshit politicians online saying, and presidents like President Trump and all these other people saying like, oh, masks don't do anything. If masks don't do anything, use your own logic. Why are doctors still wearing them? You know what I mean? Why is the infection lower now in China and lower now in Korea, Japan, which are overpopulated, and they were higher than all of us, and now they're lower than all of us? It's because their culture, whenever they even have a regular flu or just a regular sneeze, they automatically wear a mask. That's how they roll. They protect society. So it's the same thing with this virus. If you have the virus and you don't even know you have it, and you're coughing a little bit and you don't cover yourself, if you don't do it in your sleeve, if you notice through this interview, I cough in my sleeve, you know, because if you cough in your hand and you touch a doorknob, you left the germs there. You know what I mean? So I've been coughing in my sleeve because in fabric, the virus lasts, but not so long, but it lasts a few hours or days, depending on temperature. But what I do is after this interview, I take my shirt off before I go on my couch or bed or anything, and I throw it in the wash right away. You know, and before I even do that, I wash my hands, you know, really quickly. So people are asking me how to take precautions. So I'm going to say, yo, wear your mask, wear your gloves, because if you are coughing, that mask is blocking the droplets, the spit that's coming out of your mouth. Even if you think you're not spitting, you always do. It's blocking that from getting on any product in the supermarket or anywhere you're at. You know, it's blocking that.
So what you're saying is when people battle each other and we get into the faces, we spit at each other, right?
That's because sometimes you gotta be like this. It's like, don't, you know, hey, don't spray.
One mask, people battle from now on, like.
Or you've seen me in battles when somebody's really close and they say something. I'm like this. I go. In the past because they spray it, you know. But yeah, sorry, man. When I laugh, it makes my lungs feel funny. But I need it. I need laughter. Laughter is healing, man. But let me finish what I was saying. Like, some people might think this is extreme, but this will keep a lot of people safe if the droplets are around. If you go outside and you go to the supermarket, there's people that have coughed on that.
Yo.
Do you hear me? You
yeah.
Hear me? You good? Yeah. So they cough on that product. If you touch that product or a little kid touched that product and then grabs it, now the droplets are on their hand. But then decide they don't want that product, like a Snicker bar or something, and put it back. And then somebody else grabs it. That's how it starts spreading. This is common things we do. These are things we do without even realizing we do it. Oh, I want this water. And then your partner tells you, like your lady tells you, like, oh, we already have enough water at the house. And you say, okay, and you put it back. It's like innocent things we don't even realize we do. In this pandemic, we have to realize what we're doing. We have to pay attention to every single detail. You know, don't touch shit unless you need to touch it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you get home from that market, you have to strip off your clothes and stay in your underwear. Like the ladies have to stay in their underwear and bras, so dress something under your clothes. and strip off. And if you have a washing machine in your garage or a washing machine in your house, you put your clothes directly in the wash. It'll kill the virus. And you jump in the shower directly. And then you take that product that you had and you put it in the sink and you have to wash everything. You know what I mean? You leave your shoes outside with a little tray of water with bacteria washing soap, and you just rinse them off, and then you have another pair of sneakers ready or some sandals or whatever to make it less of a hassle. There's a lot of things we have to do to take precautions, you know, of this because it's spreading fast. The United States right now is the highest when it was not even hardly any cases. You know, we're not the highest in deaths like Italy and Spain, but we're right behind them. But we're the highest in infections. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's because people are not taking it serious. And I'm just talking to the whole world. I'm not saying United States this or that. The world needs to wake up. And this is the only reason why I did this live feed is to make people realize in our community, because I see videos of people practicing together outside. I see videos of people, you know, there's a lot of people taking the precautions, and I salute you. But there's also a lot of people that are not. You know, they're meeting for birthdays, they're meeting for this, that. Yo, dog, like, you know, you guys, like right now, don't do that. You know, like, take the precautions because, like I said before, this virus hits people in many different ways. It might not even show up. You might just get a few sniffles and then the symptoms go away, but you might be a carrier and you might pass it on to people that don't have the same resistance to it. And if they die, that's blood on your hands and you won't even know it, you know, because of your irresponsibility. You'll only find out when you cross over to the next realm. But that's a whole other conversation. When you finally meet that person and realization comes into play, like everybody realizes what they did in their life, then they realize like, oh shit, I took your life without even knowing it. You know, I'm so sorry. You know, like just be alert, you know, you guys. And I see life. I've had many kicks in the ass, you guys, many kicks in the ass in my life to remind me to be grateful. And that's made the Poe who I am today, you know, and yesterday. And that's made the Poe. A lot of people sign in today because of the Poe they know. I've seen a lot of deaths in my life from AIDS, from heroin use. Some of my boys, you know, in the 80s got into heroin use and crack and stuff like that and got sick and died. And I've seen that. I've seen a lot of death from gunplay. You know, I've seen I don't want to sound, this is not bragging, this is not nothing.
No, it's real.
I've seen a lot of things in my life, you know, my friends fighting for air, shot 7 times with his head exploded, dying in front of me, and you don't know to touch them or what to do, you know, because you don't want to hurt them, but you don't know CPR, you don't know how to help them, you know. You know, I was there when Float passed away, joking. You know, there's a lot of things in my life that kicks you in the ass to remind you to be grateful, to remind you to appreciate the small things, a reflection of why we are who we are and why we should be grateful. And this fighting for my life in the hospital was, you know, people look at me now and they might say, oh, Poe looks good. He, you know, this, that. You don't know what I went through and what people are still going through, you know. And this virus was a kick in the ass and just a reminder to be grateful. You know what I'm saying? Again, I am always grateful. I wake up every day and do positive affirmations in the mirror and say thank you for the little I have. But when I was released on the 10th of April, that I can go outside a little bit with my mask on and get a little bit of sun for the first time, and I crossed the street to where I'm staying in this Airbnb and touched the sand, a reflection happened and I started crying like a little baby because I realized that I was able to do this, you know, on one day, that I wasn't no longer the nurses were going to come here and take my blood and my temperature for the moment, because I was released from the list of COVID patients that beat it, you know. So there's a lot of trauma and reflection that one goes through and realizes. So people that might be talking a lot out there saying like, oh, it's just the flu. It didn't really hit me. You know, I was only sick for 3 days. That's fine. And I bless you that you didn't get hit hard by it. I mean, I'm happy and you're blessed for that. But don't knock the other people because people are losing their lives and people are fighting for this shit, you know. For the brothers out there that wanted me to go public sooner, but I was trying to protect my mother, that made some stupid posts online saying if you had COVID-19, you would say it. And you said it because of me, because you thought I was purposely not going to go public. That's some sucker shit. And I'm going to say that was wrong. And that was inconsiderate of the fight that people have. Because people don't go public for certain reasons because they don't want to hurt or put into jeopardy other people's health of their family members, because they can get weak and sick from worrying, not being able to be with you. And if they get weak, they can get sick, and you don't want them to be sick. You want them to be strong. So that's why I told privately hundreds of people. And if you're still down, listen, knowing that I told you first, one of the first persons and other people, to warn them in my worst bed and in what I would call the deathbed at the time, that was completely wrong. So be considerate to people's requests. And I'm happy people did keep it private, but don't down other people in life because you don't know what they're going through and why the reasons they're doing what they're doing. All right? So I'm not going to mention the name because I know the brother knows who he is, but, you know, I'll tell you this much. I still love you and everything, but that was wrong, you know, and I'll tell you publicly, you know, but I'm not saying names, but, you know, that really hurt my feelings because I was like, you know, my struggle, and you were one of the first I told, and you know, and I told you to warn you to take it serious and told many people. So I still was taking the consideration for people to take this serious in private. I only wanted to protect my mother, the main one. I wanted to protect everybody, but the main one I didn't want to get sick was her. You know what I mean? And so I had to protect her health because she's going through too much, you know? So, yo, that's real talk. And I think if you have any questions, ask, brother. You know, those that are watching, ask.
So how do you feel about, you know, people going around with all of this conspiracy, you know, because, you know, we can all talk about it online, whatever, but you're the one who's going through this experience, right? The COVID-19. And you were on your deathbed, you know? And so coming out of it, seeing all this conspiracy online, like 5G, this and that, and, you know, all this crazy stuff, like what would be your, you know, what would you say to those people? Because they don't even know what's going on, you know?
Well, I'll say this, just, you know, you can have your conspiracy theories because I have mine too. The bottom line is whatever it is, it's killing thousands of people around the world. And it's getting thousands of people sick. So whatever it is, it's caused a worldwide pandemic. Okay? And it made me very sick, and I could only talk about my symptoms and what I went through, you know, and all I can say. I'm not going to get into if it's that or if it's not that, or is it our blood cells trying to fight off radiation or stuff like that, because I'm in tune with that too. I'm looking into that. But in reality, it's spreading like wildfire. It's killing people and whatnot. So we have to be very careful, man. It goes right into your respiratory system, and it goes right into your immune system and starts attacking that shit and lowering everything. And you have to do all you can to try to get it out of your lungs and keep your immune system up, you know, and keep the bacteria, good bacteria in your body, and the bad bacteria out of your body. The good bacteria will fight keep your immune system up, and the bad bacteria will get pushed out by the good bacteria. You know what I'm saying? So watch how you eat. For all you smokers out there that's smoking cigarettes, that's smoking weed and all that shit, you got to stop that shit, because If you happen to get the virus, it's going to attack your lungs bad, and you're going to get bronchitis really bad, and that bronchitis can turn into ammonia, because this is why people are dying. The ammonia. If you have asthma, be very careful. If you have any sort of respiratory or body, something wrong with your body, be careful. Keep yourself safe, because this will automatically get in your lungs and create a swelling and not let air get in there. So that's the danger of it. So you got to do your research of what's best to clear lungs with mint and ginger and honey. Don't drink nothing cold, you guys. If you start creating mucus in your lungs, you got to eliminate all dairy from your system, because dairy thickens out the mucus. It doesn't develop mucus, it just thickens out, and that thickness can clog you up. You got to drink warm water, hot water. Drink it, to kill any viruses in there, because it kills it. There's a lot you got to do. Just get online. There's a lot of stuff online, but, naturopaths know what's up. Natural healers know what's up. You know what I mean? Like, just look online when somebody has an ammonia or bronchitis, how to heal it naturally. Lemon, citrus, prunes, like all this kind of stuff that gets your vitamin C up and gets that creates certain good bacteria in your body to develop to help fight certain bad bacteria. You know what I'm saying? So,
Word.
Educate yourselves, man. We are what we eat. We are what we eat, yo.
Yeah, don't. And again, I want to bring Poe on is to share his experience, not to spread fear. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta be afraid of this. Like, no,
this
it's
is not
about preventive measure and being aware, of what's going on, and feed your body the good the good substance, and for preventive measure, right? Because at the end of the day, the first thing it hits is your immune system, right? So you got to get your immune system like at 100% on par, just in case you do catch it, and so
also mind, you guys, also prayer. Whatever prayer doesn't mean you're religious. Prayer just means you're putting your energy out into the universe and asking help to whatever that source is, whatever you want to call that source. It responds, you guys. It responds. Positive thinking, positive affirmations every day. Even if you're feeling like shit, you don't want to say, I'm feeling like shit. You're going to be like, I'm going to be good today. I'm going to feel better today. And you do everything you can to heal that body. You know what I'm saying? Like, breathing exercises, you guys, like that. The way to breathe it helps. Meditation helps. Fasting helps. You can't really fast when you're really sick, because I'll be honest. Well, sometimes you could, depending on how bad you're sick. But your body needs good bacteria, vitamin C and all that to fight the immune system, But fasting, I don't know if you noticed, but when you're fasting, after the fast, your body gets a little sick because it's releasing all toxins. It gets sick before it gets better. You understand? So you need to fast to release all the tension, to all the sicknesses that are in your body or toxins. You need to do fasting. So this is why so many people, Ramadan and other things, do this stuff, because it cleanses the body, and it opens the chakras. So there's so many ways to heal yourself, but the Western world, a lot of people are awake, but or a lot of people are conscious, but the way we've been conditioned, the hard work and discipline it takes, a lot of people ain't up for the fight, So I'll be like honest, it's not enough to know the information. You got to apply the information. If you just know a bunch of information and you're just being preachy and you ain't doing it, then you ain't applying it. Bruce Lee says it's not enough to know, you must do. Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. So it really is up to you. You know what I'm saying? So, all that got me through. God got me through. The prayers got me through. People being present on FaceTime with me, talking to me, got me through. You know what I mean? This virus almost took me out, man. And there was 2 days that I thought I was going, lost all losing functions, and I pulled through. So I just want to say, be careful, you guys.
Yo, word up, man. Yo, shouts to everybody.
Somebody's asking, can you re-catch it? There has been already 100 and something cases of reinfection or reactivation. You can re-catch it. There's already been cases, and they're trying to figure out why or how. If the virus is reactivated in your system, or if you're getting reinfected by the outside virus again. So I hope that answers your question. Do some research on that. Yeah.
So, Poe, what do you learn from this whole experience? Some life lessons coming into experience with COVID-19.
Appreciation,
coming
man.
out.
Yeah, appreciation, man. Appreciation, my friends. I'm always appreciative, you know. And we say it. You see my posts on Facebook all the time. Like, I don't post nothing stupid. I post more like, yo, I hope everybody's good, stay strong, much love, you know. And it's been like that for decades. There's always been appreciation, but a light has changed in my head. Something's changed in my head that I don't get really vexed at so many things right now. I'm very calm at it, and I see people's disputes about things as petty. Certain disputes that I'm just kind of like, that's so petty, because when it really comes to life or death, all that would be erased. That argument would be done, and there's a reflection that we know these things, but when you actually feel it and are able to touch the sand and appreciate it and cry about it, there's a certain thing like that changed in me. Maybe, you know, next year, after being okay for so long, maybe I'll get back into the conditioned mind of maybe getting vexed at some petty shit, you know, like, oh, they're all out of fucking almond milk, you know, like, but in reality, I'm just happy to be able to eat an apple in the morning, man. Like, I've changed, man. Like, you know, I'm happy to
crazy when you told me. Remember, me and you, I mean, those people don't know, like, we got into it right before this whole situation.
Yeah.
Be real, right? So this whole situation, I wanted this to be a lesson, right?
And I was on deathbed, you know?
like me and you wasn't on talking term, and then you told me what happened, and all of a sudden you were like, yo, Ty, that's petty shit. You know what I'm saying? And kind of check on that. You know what I mean? You kind of like, I kind of sit back after I express myself. I'm like, man, yeah, Poe is right. You know what I mean? Like, dang, he could have been gone. And
we've been through too many positive experiences to let 2 or 3 negative experiences ruin a relationship. And the negative experience is not that serious.
Right.
You know, and you know what I mean? So for me, all family has discussions and disputes. But I've realized in my 50 years being on this planet that when a death occurs or a near death occurs, the family seems to come together no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, let bygones be bygones. So when I was on bed, I was on a reflection. I said, yo, man, you're not talking to me. Why? You know, and then when you express yourself, as you know, I was completely quiet, listening to you. You know, I said, okay, talk. And then after I saw what you felt, then I gave my version and my reflection, then you understood. And then I looked at you and I said, you know, Ty, it's petty, man, the whole thing. If you really step back and you think about it, it's petty. And then when you text me back after a conversation, it was like rocks getting knocked off the shoulder, you know, it's things that hold you down. It was beautiful, that. And now we're doing this, you know, like, yeah, I'm not even MZK. Most people in the world don't know. And I've been out, 6 years, you know, like 5, 6 years. But I'm still family. Like, I still love the members. I still am with them. And I still consider Original 13. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still, that will never be taken away. Like, my family, and other members in the crew are crew members in other crews with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I have family that's blood that are not as close as you and I.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the reflection that I had. You know, just like when I was on that bed, I was like, I need to call Ty. I need to call so-and-so. I need to call, and just be like, you know, I really love you. You know, I've been able to talk to you of some of my deepest things.
Right.
And you've been able to respect it, and you've been able to keep it quiet, even though you made a few mistakes, but it's all good. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, but who doesn't? I've made mistakes, man. So it's like, you know, that reflection is like different. I'm completely.
Yeah, I just want to share that to people, because that was a lesson for me as well. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know me, I'm always keeping 100. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I'm never like, oh, I'm the, you know, the good guy all the time. Like, no, sometimes you make mistakes, you know, and I want to share that because you check me on that, you know, and that's something that
It wasn't really a check. It was just real talk with you.
Yeah, it was just, you know, it was just a slang for me to say, hey, put me back, you know, like, yo, Ty, what's really important? You know what I mean? And that was something that you know, you taught me in our conversation, you know, and man, it was like, I don't know how to say it, like, I'm glad we talked, you know, and share that moment and able to share this experience with everybody, you know. And so, yo, it's a blessing, man, that you came out on top, you know. I'm sure everybody that's watching this feel the same way, you know, because, man.
I hope it helped in some way. I don't feel I'm any authority or whatsoever in anything. If people put me on a plateau or whatever, that's them, man. But I'm just a regular man that loves hip-hop, that lives it and tries to learn all the details as possible and understands or overstands that hip-hop unites the world, you know? But a lot of my brothers told me that a lot of people ain't taking this serious, and I see it online, ain't taking this serious. And hopefully me voicing my opinion or my experience of what I went through can make people realize, you know what, I didn't know anybody that had it. I didn't know anybody that's died from it. I'm not taking this serious. And now that I know, maybe I'll take it a little bit serious, you know. And if that does that for somebody, then if I could save 10 people, you know, or more, or one, you know, then I did my job, you know what I'm saying? And that's just to share what happened, and hopefully it wakes you up in some way, shape, or form to be careful and not to get dismissive of certain things or lazy or comfortable as time goes on, as we're longer in quarantine and you're not catching anything. Some people will actually get comfortable and start going outside without a mask and not washing their hands so much and not washing their groceries and stuff while the virus is still spreading. Hopefully not. Hopefully the virus starts dying down. But I just want people to realize is take it serious and don't get comfortable until this clears up, until it clears up. And that's also my realization. You know, because as humans, we tend to get comfortable and become ungrateful, you know, complain about certain. As long as, you know, people take this serious, that's my main goal. Some people were responding to people's posts when they were sharing your flyer that you made. Dope flyer, by the way. That picture was taken in San Diego.
Shouts to Don Love, you know?
Yeah.
Made that flyer. So shouts to Don Love.
Yeah. That was on the San Diego streets, man. That was my cholo moment. But that was my G shit. But yeah, check it. So some people were actually writing like, we have to stop. These things are putting too much fear in people and blah blah blah. And I'll be honest, yeah, the news is doing a lot of fear and stuff. What Ty and I decided to do was not for fear. It was for awareness in a humble way. Don't be scared. Fight this shit, but be aware. You know what I'm saying? Be aware. And
don't be scared. Be aware. That's dope.
Yeah, be aware, man. Like, so, yeah, I hope this whole 2 hours, however it went long. Yo, Crazy Legs, what's up? Love you, Papa.
Yo, what up? What up, Legs?
Thanks for creating the windmill, because I bit that shit.
we all did, right? The backspin. Yeah. we all did that. Yeah. Yo, thanks for for holding it down, Poe, for real, man. Any last shout outs or advices?
Yo, just help each other, you guys. The community's a bit chaotic at the moment. Humanity's a bit chaotic at the moment. There's going to be a positive thing that comes out of it. There's a yin and yang in everything. And I try to look at that yin and yang. I try to look at the positivity that's coming out of such a bad virus and so many deaths. It is making people slow down. It is making people stay home with their families. That could be positive, negative as well. But it is making people realize, like, oh shit, I only got 40 euro left or $40 left in my account. I said euro because I got a homie in Europe that only has $40 left for food. That's all they have. They don't have money for the rent. They don't have nothing for their business or nothing. They have 40 euro left. They've spent everything, savings and everything, and they're waiting for some backing from the government. So I know people are going through struggles, and that can make people do crazy things sometimes. Telling the world, help each other. If you have a little bit that you can spare, help each other. Also, don't panic. Don't get, that's the conditioning of the mind. We've been conditioned for handouts through our whole life because we're able to walk to a bodega or a store to buy what we want when we want it. You understand? Since we were little kids, even when we lived poor and I was eating 99-cent cup of noodles, and those were 50 cents back then, 3 times a day. At least I ate that 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? I know how it feels to struggle, but the people are going through it right now as adults that's never been through it. They've never been in a situation like that. I know that can cause desperation in humanity. Don't lose your humanity from fear. You know what I'm saying? Be smart and be calm, because also that's part of the pandemic is mental illness and mental fear and anxieties and stuff like Lava 1 and 2 just passed away, straight man. My Nick 700, like we're losing our pioneers like crazy to the virus. New York is getting hit hard. I lost my brother Anthony, my 80s homie, and we were hanging out in mid-80s, rolling through East San Jose together. He would give me a place to stay when I had no place to stay. I don't know if he died from the virus. We're trying to find out, but he was sick. His mother shared that he was sick, and she went to go check on him, and he was unresponsive when she went the next day, because he told her, don't come over, I'm sick. And she went the next day and found them unconscious. So my brother Anthony, rest in peace. And so we don't know if it was from COVID, but it was from something. And I'm assuming it's COVID because that's what's getting everybody sick and is attacking their respiratory systems, and a lot of people are dying because of it. So my heart goes out to everybody in the fight. I want to say thank you to all the frontliners out there. My sister, Carolyn, she is on the front lines now. She's a teacher, a daycare. She's also a principal of a school, but the school's closed. So she offered her services for the kids of a daycare center for the kids of the frontliners. So the doctors, nurses, and ambulance people that can't go home, they have this, the government has a special place for where they can take their kids to be safe in a daycare. And my sister's Carolyn's working for these kids. So, and taking care, and it could put her at risk because when these kids go home, even though the doctors and their parents can't see the kid, they're still in the same proximity. And these doctors have been in risk with COVID patients. So it's at risk, putting my sister at risk. So she's still going out there every day, taking care of these kids for the frontliners. So all those people doing that, the doctors, the nurses, putting their lives at risk, thank you. Because the struggle that people have no idea what they're going through. They can't see their families. They can't hug their partners. They can't hug their kids. They're going through it right now. So I've already said it earlier, but for those that missed it, I'm saying it again, like, that's what I would like to say, And if you're in quarantine, not by yourself, because I've been in quarantine by myself, and I'm going to go home tomorrow, Friday, or Saturday for the first time. So I'm going to be actually with my loved ones finally. I haven't seen my loved ones since March 3rd. That's over a month and a half,
Right.
Those that are in quarantine with your loved ones, don't drive each other crazy. Hug each other and love each other. A lot of us didn't have that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking forward to that opportunity. Ask me in 2 months if we're in quarantine for 2 months, if we're ripping each other's hair out, then that's different. And knocking each other out, and that's different. But, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But if you're in quarantine by yourself, keep yourselves busy. A lot of universities, a lot of online things are happening for free. They're giving their courses for free. Learn how to make beats. Do things you want to do. Learn how to play guitar. Learn exercises. Take yoga. Learn how to. I'm by myself in this thing, and I'll be honest. I took a cooking course, bro. I've never cooked vegetarian lasagna in my life, and I don't even like eating pasta.
New skills.
Yeah, I don't even like eating like fake mass stuff like pastas, bread, stuff like. I don't eat stuff like that in my body. To me, that's bad carbohydrates, But I made one because I'm so damn bored in here. I went online. I said, okay, I'm gonna make a lasagna. I ordered all the stuff, and I made a vegetarian lasagna for the first time in my life. So now I'm gonna make like some. I want to make gumbo, so I've never made gumbo, but I'm gonna make it vegetarian style. So I'm taking course how to film, edit, this damn Final Cut that I downloaded. I'm learning how to use my GarageBand, making beats, so keep your mind busy. So the main thing I'm trying to say is keep your mind busy, because there's a lot of people writing they're bored. And I'm like, how could you be bored with a, imagine those that don't have it, that their phone happened to break during quarantine and their computer ain't working, or they don't have Wi-Fi in other countries.
Bro.
Yo, dog, they find ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be so spoiled and conditioned to think, that you think you don't have nothing to do. So come on, you guys. There's so much to do. Take a course, something that you've been telling yourself all your life since a kid that you always said you didn't have the time to do. Do it.
Yeah, don't spend all day.
Ordered a guitar.
Don't spend all day just debating. Like, I just see some crazy stuff that's going on online, man. People are debating about conspiracy, and I'm like, man, all right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all right, man.
Bro, I had to turn a notification off, bro. Like, for real. Like, I had to. It's no point, But, well, bro, man, I'm honored to have you on. For real. Like, I'm sure everybody.
Read the Bible. Yeah.
Yes, read the Bible.
Yo, Ty, you were the first person I hit up to do the live. I said, yo, Ty, I want to do it with you, because I truly believe what you're doing with Bridging the Gap is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? And I like the name Bridging the Gap, and you're bridging gaps from different generations and creating bridges and closing those gaps up, creating bridges over that. So keep doing that, man. Keep doing it. I know this interview is going to be long, and some people are going to be blah, blah, blah after a few years of it being online. But I think, and once the virus hit, then we don't have to worry about it being online. We can delete it or whatever, or save it in the archives. But right now it's needed. So please listen up, y'all, right? God bless you guys. Much love.
Before we bounce, gotta turn this on again. We gotta send Poe out with a little cheer again. You know what I'm saying? Give it up to Poe. You know? You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give him that love, y'all. Give him them hearts. Yes, sir. Yeah, boy. We're going to keep it going. Hey, bro.
Hilarious.
Much love, man. We love you. You know what I'm saying?
Love you guys.
You're doing your thing. Keep patting on. You know, and we'll cross path again soon. Again in the near future, bro. All right.